Okay, so we are April 28th. This is the K8s Infra working group meetings. And this meeting is run by the Code of Conduct. And if you have any issue with the Code of Conduct, with the Code of Conduct committee at contact at kubernetes.io. So before we start, do we have any new person in the meeting? I don't think so. I see the user suspect. I don't think I need to put the link of the meeting docs in the chat. So if anyone can add himself to the attendee list, that would be great. The first thing is the billing report, but I'm not sure I want to go over the billing report, or anyone have a question about the billing report for this week.
Okay.
Because, okay, wait a minute, let me share my screen. In the past meeting, Aaron made comparison with what team has in the billing dashboard, but since I'm not hosting these meetings, I feel like we don't need to go over the billing report, and I don't really see a very specific change over the two last week. So if anyone agree, we can skip this part.
I think that's fair. We haven't made changes yet, so I think it's okay to skip.
Okay. So the first point of the meeting today is basically planification for the 122 milestone. So I kind of want to go over the project board and see what's the current issue we have right now, and if possible, identify what's blocking. So before we go over the project board, I think Beno, you had a question. Is it Beno or Rian?
Yeah.
About the umbrella.
I can go. Am I unmuted? Yes. I just wanted to see if there's anything external holding that merge happening, if there's anything more we need or that you need from us. Or is this 1469 just a hold on?
Basically, the 1469 is the
umbrella, right?
Global roadmap for this working group. So there are many things. I mean, there are many details depending of the issue we're facing.
So yeah, my question is only specific to 1469. This
yeah.
or to the very bottom, like.
Let me see.
Sorry, I need to see.
I think you're referring to 904 and 1966.
Wait.
So 1966 is that, yeah.
1966. What I'm gonna do about this is I'm gonna apply the chain, so you can basically get read access to the bucket, and maybe Aaron or team will LGTM the pull request.
Okay, so it's merging the pull request.
Yeah, I will deploy the chain, and we can basically match it up, so I don't unblock you this week or the next week.
Thank you. Yeah, if it and that's expected to give object get access, I believe.
Okay, I see the command from EP hacker. So basically, the BigQuery access, I would do that as a follow-up.
Okay.
So because it was not clear to me what's the analysis tool you need from basically running your analysis. So I prefer to just give you access to the logs. But if you need BigQuery to do analysis, I will work on that in the next, I think next week.
Thank you. Yeah, that'll give me time to make sure that the get access works. We can push to our BigQuery in the meantime, but then the correct place for us to push back would be that project, so that would help.
Okay.
Thank
Is that all?
That's the
Ronald,
main.
I just want to confirm. So on 1966, the only thing you just need to apply that small net that was pointed out by Dims, and after that, it's LGM and approve.
Okay. Any of you can confirm they have access to the K8s Infra II sandbox project? The sandbox project I create, the GCP sandbox project I create. Any of you have access to that, or do you have any issue?
The sandbox, I have access to it, and so far I've not had problems with permissions on it.
Okay.
Caleb, have you seen any issues?
No, everything's good on my end as well.
Thank you.
Okay, good to know. So let's back to the pressure board. Need to basically do something about this thing. Oh. So in the project board, they basically have some issue. I feel like we should focus on it during this milestone, especially the one related to wait, the 1469, because like I said, this is basically the umbrella issue that guides the direction of this group, where we still have a lot of unfinished business about the issue. So I feel like we should basically, for this milestone, focus the effort on finishing the migration of all the basically project hosting.
And Caleb has a sub set of these tickets in his section that is specifically in here is Kubernetes as a one of the projects that need to move. And he has some questions for moving that forward, because we're looking at Kubernetes and starting there as a project to move all the parts. So if we want to focus here, Caleb, do you want to go through your questions?
Yeah. Would you mind? Sorry, that are not certificates. Okay.
I will quickly say something about Kubernetes. So basically, Kubernetes is a user interface, helping contributor to have a unified view of the pull requests they have been side. It's maintained by the SIG testing, so I think you can basically go directly to SIG testing, ask questions if you need some answer, because I'm not very aware about how Kubernetes is running.
Right.
Okay.
So I think so the best advice I can give you is basically ping Aaron in SIG testing /channel and ask about the issue.
That sounds good.
Okay. So let's go back. So over the two last week, me and Aaron went over the issue list, and we make we basically decide to basically assign some issue. So I feel like there are some that needs basic input from other CAs, and somewhere we can basically focus on that. I would say, for example, yeah. Let me go over. I think first thing, let's go over the dashboard. But before we go over the dashboard, do you have any blockers or any issue? I mean, anyone have blockers right now? Except the access to the artifact logs.
I think for myself, I'll reach out to the test infrastructure as you recommended.
Yeah.
So we won't worry about that in this meeting.
Yeah, and I don't think I'm locked with anything else besides the BigQuery and access logs.
Okay. Okay. I don't want to spend too many time on this dashboard on this board because there are too many things that need to be discussed, and there are some access I'm not really aware. So I feel like during the 2 next week, I will discuss with Aaron and basically review some issue and see which one we can spend time in during this milestone. But if you feel like you want to work on a specific issue and we have blocking and we need information, please reach out. So just ping me on Slack. I will see how I can help you to move forward.
Thank you.
Basically, and identify some of the blockers.
Do you have time of day that works better for you? I kind of straddle between South Africa and New Zealand time, so I can move closer if mornings are easier for you.
I'm kind of have more for async work, so just ping me on Slack. If enough time, I will just answer.
Okay.
Because I'm not sure. Basically, I'm Central Europe based, so it's Paris time zone. So basically, it's the same as
South Africa.
Yes. So which means
it's close. It's I think it's off 1 hour this time of the year.
Yeah.
Oh. So it's better you ping me on Slack and I will try to answer to you when I have time.
Okay, I appreciate that. I will reach out. Thank you.
Okay. So next subject is Tim.
Hey everyone, I should start by apologizing. I have been relatively unavailable the last several weeks. I've got a bunch of crazy stuff going on, and I've just not been able to make all the time that I was committing to making. So I apologize for that. I wanted you all to know I'm not ignoring you. I'm watching, but not able to be as active as I wanted to be. This popped up in my mailbox this week. I got an email that said vulnerability scanning billing will start being enabled in July. We knew this was coming all along. This was published, but they sent us a nice reminder. So I went off and took a look at what the actual billing was, and so I threw some ballpark numbers in here. It's not a huge amount of money, but it's not a trivial amount of money either, right? Sorry, since you switched screens, I don't have the numbers anymore. But anyway, it's on the order of a few $1,000s a month, which isn't that much in the overall picture of what we're dealing with. So maybe we simply don't care, but I thought it was worth bringing up. What I thought was interesting was all of the bills currently are around the staging repos. So the reason for this is the scanning is activated. You pay for scanning once when an image is pushed. So for like the main repository, we would pay for it when we push the image, and that would be it. and most of our images are obviously predate the billing. So we made a decision a while back to turn on scanning for staging repos because we thought it was useful to get those reports before they get promoted into the main repository. I still believe that's probably the truth. What I think we should ask is, are all staging repositories promotion path, or are some of them going to be not? And if not, if they're not going to be promoted, do we really need to enable scanning for them? Or is this just a distinction that we don't care about because it's just not worth that much energy? That's all.
I had the same question about K8s staging CI images because I know those images are not promoted. I know for sure because I'm the one to help migrate this image. So I asked the question, I think 2 meetings ago, and Aaron asked to SIG release, I think the week after that, but we still wait from a feedback from SIG release. So my personal opinion will be to deactivate the scanning images for this specific project, because I don't think it's really useful right now. They are nightly built. I'm not sure anyone checked those reports.
Yeah. Well, I mean, does anybody check their vulnerability scanning is an entirely different question. But if we know for a fact that these images are not sensitive in this way, like they are ephemeral or they're short-lived, then I agree, maybe we should turn it off. I'm thinking about all the shell scripts that control all the staging repositories, and it doesn't sound like a pleasant change, but it might be worth doing. I would say it's probably not urgent, but if we all agree that it's maybe worthwhile, then we keep it in the backlog.
Can we reach out to some SIGs and ask their feedback and decide depending on what they're seeing?
We could reach out to every staging group. They all have mailing lists, so we can actually literally email them and see if they actually check these vulnerability reports. I'm gonna guess the answer is almost nobody actively checks them, and I'm not even sure we did all the work that we needed to make it possible for them to check them regularly. So we may be just spending money on literally nothing right now.
Okay.
That said, $2,000 a month isn't going to break us, right? And given the highly constrained bandwidth that we have from people on this call, all the other things that are in progress are certainly more urgent than this.
I vote we put this on the board with a lower priority, and when we have extra resources and time, it's not forgotten, but it's not time spent. Well, time's well spent yet.
Do we want to have an action item or just push back in the next meeting?
I think if we have a ticket for it and it's on the board, then I feel comfortable that that's where things can move forward on. That's my opinion.
Yeah,
Okay.
I forget, did I open an issue? I don't think I opened an issue on it.
James opened an issue about that. It's in the meeting, but wait for it. So the issue is 1963.
Great.
So the email was for every GCP user. So okay.
Thanks.
I think next subject is the cap.
I added that because on the meeting is tomorrow, and we wanted to not take too much time here just to discuss it. But there's a lot of overlap between that KEP and the 302 or split DNS redirect implementation. So making sure that we're meeting the needs there, and using all the brains in the community to go the right direction on that. That's cross SIGs.
So I have no idea what meeting you're talking about.
Can we click on the link for that? That takes us to Slack. That's a Slack thing in SIG. Sorry, K8s Infra working group. And then the next one is the artifact management board, which is underlying that CAP.
So Laurie Apple sent a doodle to decide which day we can meet to discuss about the artifact management CAP. I think it was 2 weeks ago. And based on the result we have in the doodles, the meeting is supposed to happen April 29th.
I see. I think I still have the doodle request in my mailbox. Oops.
Yep. So she pinged me today about sent out an email with the meeting invite, and I will do that after this meeting.
Well, that's fine. I don't need to be there. I mean, I trust the work that you all are doing, and that we'll regroup. So this is not a problem per se. Has there been any updates on the artifact mirroring stuff? I saw some email 2 weeks ago, I think.
I guess what you
Yeah, so I made some progress on making a proof of concept using Envoy, and I've only got the mirroring working. Well, it's proxying kind of thing. It's not even proxying, it's redirecting. So I got that working for container image artifacts, but I haven't been able to do anything with just any kind of artifact yet. But getting it so it does a 302 redirect when so you have your host, which is registry.k8s.io, takes your source IP, and then spits out a host for you to reach out to pull a container image from. So I did a basic demo of if the IP address is a local one, then I'm going to give you, I think it's registry.k8s.io. But if you're a remote address, then I'll give you Docker Hub. So I think
I just dropped a link into K8s Infra working group channel, which is a blog that we wrote kind of based on this. We have this is just a demo written in what was it written in?
It's Envoy Lua filter.
There you go.
But that could be a GoWasm filter or anything else. I suspect the best path, if we do choose to take the Envoy route, is to have a small bit of Lua that reaches out to a separate Golang web service, which declares the host to use. I think that would be the best.
Okay.
But
so I did read that blog post. I remember reading that one. Thank you. Yeah, the question that is most interesting to me is, how do we actually do the geo IP lookup? There's got to be a established library or database out there that helps us to map those things.
Ken, we've merged into the K8s.io repository somewhere a list of ASNs, and that's per company. So the Google ASNs, the single Amazon ASN, the multiple Microsoft ASNs. It would be good to get feedback from those companies that we suspect have higher usage, to confirm that those ASNs accurately represent their company, so that we can, because there's not going to be company specific GeoIP lookup. The database we use for that is the BGP and the autonomous system groups that are owned by those companies. If they are accurately representing, I think that's the best stab in the dark as far as existing not geo IP, but company ownership IP that we have.
So that's a good point. I had been thinking about GeoIP as GeoIP. It's probably better to first start with if we know you're coming from Amazon, send you to Amazon.
Yeah.
And then if we fall off the bottom of that list and we have no idea which company you're coming from, is there a mechanism for us to figure out, should we send you to the Europe or to the US replica? Like, that's a pretty big distinction.
Yeah.
I did this much research on, what libraries exist out there to find these things. I didn't find a sort of like, this is the best way to do it answer.
We haven't done a lot of research into that yet, but this is going to be a solved problem, and there will be something there. We did this current research at the Envoy level. We did look a little bit into, what was the next one? The stuff on top of Envoy? Contour?
Yeah. The implementation didn't appear as possible for something like the Contour ingress controller, setting some kind of inline code snippet. But if there's anything that is like that, I think it would be cool to use as well to get another POC across.
So I wonder if it makes more sense to lean into the Lua or WASM for Envoy, or if we should just write this as a simple Go program. Like, it doesn't feel like that complicated of a Go program to listen on HTTP, look at the client IP, look it up in a table of ASNs, issue the redirect. Like, it feels like, order hundreds of lines of code and we actually have a working demo. Am I off target?
I would be willing to try and write something for that. I'm sure it wouldn't be too complicated for the redirecting part. Any thoughts?
I mean, the redirect part, like, one of the things that Go does really well is HTTP serving, right? So
Right.
the redirect part's super easy. We'll have to think about the operationalization of this. But it sounds like even in the Envoy path, you're going to end up thunking out to some code to do the database lookup. So I wonder then if it makes sense to even involve Envoy or Nginx or anything, or if we should just do it ourselves and deal with the operationalization.
That's a good thought.
I think some of my initial thoughts around that were trying to use some of the existing CNCF community things as well to bring them in and get their opinion and feedback. II has another area where we're working directly with the primary Envoy API shepherds and the community team there. So as far as this support and activity, we're getting pretty high connectivity there.
Yeah, I think whatever we do here, we're going to definitely set a trend.
Yeah.
And so we should be super careful about what it is that we do. Staying within the family seems totally reasonable. But if it was a simple Go program that said, look, we run this on Kubernetes, we set it up with these autoscaler configs and these memory limits, and if you wanted to mirror your registry, you could take this Go program and run it yourself. Like, that's a pretty cool story, honestly.
I'm trying to think to get at some. I need to think about it a bit. We have Caleb's primary on it right now, and so if we want to shift that direction and do a POC over the next week or two, we can head that direction.
I think it would be very interesting. I just think it would be interesting to compare the overall complexity. Like, it feels like it would be a small program. Maybe I'm wrong. Like, maybe actually ingesting the ASNs, we need to make it pluggable and externalized. And so now we're talking about a database, and like, maybe that spirals out of control. Or maybe it's simply a config map that we update, monthly or something, and it really is that simple. So I was tempted at some point to start the POC myself, and then I was like, nope, I'm kind of busy right now. And Caleb's actively working on this, so why would I go do that? You feel free.
I think we will get to a config map at some point. We have to get the ASNs accurate, and then we might just as a team look, they're already merged, but it would be great, for example, for Google to at least step in and say, yep, that's our ASNs. Get some to Microsoft, yep, that's ours, and Amazon. At least those three, just so we have a starting point. And then we can use that to have a program that takes those ASNs and dumps it to a config map.
Yep.
That is by two different things, because it's just a list of networks.
Yep. And the truth is, I have no idea what like Google's policy is on publishing that information.
It's public.
I don't know if it, but I mean, like, I don't know if we actively publish it in a place where you can like refresh it daily and get new numbers, or whether we would be willing to say, well, you figured it out, confirmed, or whether we would just bite our tongue. Like, I have no idea.
And there's in the BGP arena, you have the owner company listed. Like, it is definitely there. I guess what we're wanting to say is, are there ones we shouldn't be looking at? Would you like to pare that back a bit? It's not. It is definitely updated minute by minute. Like, the whole internet knows these are Google's ASNs. But what we would like is someone to confirm that we're actually looking at the right arena. And there may be some, oh, we've got these over here that's actually not under the same company, but that's actually where Google Cloud lives, for example, would be a huge miss on our part. That would be missing the reason the mapping exists. Got it.
That's a great point. Okay, well, we can start that process at some point. Yeah, I don't know who to talk to, but we can figure it out.
True. Thanks, Tim.
I think that's all for today. Anyone who has a new subject?
I have a general request. II does a lot of pairing, and so we learn by doing together. And the K8s Infra working structure and all of the pieces has people with different levels of access. And particularly when people like my team are coming on and they don't have the same levels of access, pairing with those that do for a bit helps us to understand some of the flows and things that we don't know yet. Tim and I did some of this really early on. We're trying to explore what permissions were required to do various things. And I wonder if it wouldn't be useful for to set up maybe on the week opposite this, a working session, whereas this meeting is more for looking at the action items. I know that it would benefit my team to have maybe one person flow through and pair, even like mob pair with my team.
I'm not against the idea, but I feel like it's really up to every personal agenda, because it's kind of tricky to get some people maybe have time and a very specific time. I feel like the best solution is get more documentation and basically try to identify where there's a lack of documentation or communication, and we can improve that. We can try your request, but I'm not sure if everyone is available at the same time of you.
Sure, and it's almost like one-on-one times, and I can set up a list of huge swaths of allocated available time, and anybody in the community that has time, just pick one that is good for you, and we'll gather around and glean knowledge and create that documentation that may not currently exist, and we don't even know what questions to ask. Sometimes we have to go in and there's a bit of onboarding friction that I'm trying to lessen.
So one of the things I thought was useful when we did this pairing early on was we had like specific objectives, like let's figure out if X, right? Absent a question X, it's hard for me to say, oh, I'll be available on this day to just randomly surf through consoles and see what you see. As interesting as that sounds, it's difficult to figure out how to do that. If there are specific questions like we're doing the mirroring stuff and we're not sure that we're able to do the right stuff, then that's very concrete.
Fair. We'll put it on us to put together a list of kind of like requested pair sessions, that because we can ask the questions and sometimes they can get answered.
Do you have a,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. do you have a specific subject in mind?
Well, in
Like,
this, in Berno's case, for example, we're trying to focus him primarily on going through that, migrating away from Google's internal work to the public bucket. And that's getting the wrapping your head around that flow and trying to get even those individual tickets, understanding the flow. Like these things tend to be done by getting handed over to someone who has access, and we're going through just reading those tickets and trying to parse it by looking at the audit logs. And so it's more like a guided tour to what's there. That's part of that. Like the whole reason this group exists is to migrate out of that umbrella ticket. Is pretty much our reason for being. And I'm trying to allocate, basically two humans full time to it.
okay.
And I think we should reduce the friction. And some of that is not even knowing what questions to ask in looking at that body of work. Because there's tribal knowledge around even the creation of that is hard for even me, and I've been around peripherally since the beginning.
Okay. I think we can try. I mean,
we'll try to get together some specific questions, but there's definitely some overarching. I don't know what to ask.
If we can lump them into, like, even looking at the umbrella task of like migrate X off of these Google projects, right? Where X is one of these giant efforts, then at least we can say, okay, here's your guided tour of how we made terrible decision X, right? And let's go explore what that means and how to not reinvent it.
If we could prioritize that list and take the top 3 instead of us trying to figure out which one to take off that list, then those are the 2 or 3 we'd love to comprehend well. Because some of it is just go, I think the action item I saw was go engage with the SIGs to figure out the stuff related to their movement, and maybe just going through one we've already done or one that's at the top of that list. Because once we get a pattern and we know how to hold the tools, we'll be able to help so much more.
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
Yeah. And just again, to be clear, I'm totally not against this. I would love to sit and spend time pairing and just exploring the problem space. The last couple of weeks and the next few weeks is going to just be hellish for me for totally unrelated reasons. So I'm a little wary of signing up for recurring anything right now.
No, this isn't definitely. So what I'm trying to do is, if we can, here's my request. Can we prioritize 3 of those that I can put Berno on specifically? And then once we prioritize those 3, we'll set up an availability to pair with us. And those are the 3 things we'd love some time on. And it's not a recurring. It's just these are in our queue for the knowledge dump. Does anyone have a moment? And there'll be those 3. Go ahead and tell us what those are, and we'll set up a way to reach out to get some time.
I swear we've been through that list and prioritized it. I just don't know where the artifact is. So maybe we can go digging for that, or at least maybe not prioritized it, but we've picked like, this is the next one.
Pick exemplary ones so that because part of it's knowledge. So if we can figure out how to do the pattern, finding one that's maybe even shorter and quick to get the knowledge going, then we can go over the harder ones. Does it? I don't know.
I'm trying not to be obstinate here, but the truth is, a lot of the data is only in a place that only I can see, and even that is not even easy to get at, right? Like, which one costs us the most money? Oh, Jesus, you know how entangled it is in the back end? The existing project has Google specific stuff in it and Kubernetes specific stuff in it. And like, I can get a sense, like an order of magnitude of cost of, say, the release bucket. Like, we know that is a large single line item. And I can give you an order of magnitude, but that's about it. But honestly, I probably couldn't even show you my screen while I'm looking at that because there's other Google stuff tangled in there.
Right.
Can I pick some of the issue we can, use for that? Like identify where we may need help is not absolutely related to Google stuff. And we can start with that.
That would be great for me. I have resources and we need to apply them efficiently.
Okay, because to be honest, there are some issues that are extremely tricky to deal with. I don't work on that because there are very specific restrictions. So I think I will identify some of the issues we can work together and basically,
Yep.
I can basically get some time to help you go through those issues.
Thank you.
Okay. I don't know when. We try to get to select some of them by the end of the week.
Works for us.
Okay. Okay, do we have something else?
Thanks, Arnaud,
Anyone?
for organizing today and for getting us sitting at the meeting invite for tomorrow. Much appreciated.
Okay, I mean, wait, yeah, tomorrow, not mine, because I feel like when you said tomorrow is, am I wrong? Oh, it's
I
tomorrow.
think it is because it's the 29th for us today. And so when
Yeah,
people
sorry.
say the 29th, for you,
It's me. It's me. So I think we have everything. We went through everything today. So I will give you 15 minutes of your time. So have a good day, everyone.
Thank you.
And
Thanks,
see you
everybody.
in, yeah, and see you in 2 weeks.
Cheers.
Well, thank you so much. Cheers.
Stop.